Good morning, and welcome to Story Time today. And we are reading The Library Lion by Michelle Knudsen and illustrations by Kevin Hawks. Good morning to you. Welcome. Thank you so much. I'm glad you could join us. I hope you had an amazing weekend. I'm so glad that you're here. Good morning. Please welcome. Good morning to you, Anders. How are you doing today? And good morning to you, Lily. Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome. Another week and we are ready to go. Good morning to you. So glad you could join in. All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I hope you had an amazing weekend. So glad you could join in. We're going to give time for people to get settled and get ready. And then we are going to go into The Library Lion by Michelle Knudsen and illustrated by Kevin Hawks. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Maya. How are you doing today? And good morning to you, Raven. Welcome. Good morning to you, Lacey. So glad you could join us. How are you doing right here in Oakland? Good morning to you, Isabella. Good morning to you, Leslie. And good morning to you, Luis. How are you doing today? So glad you could join in. And good morning to you, Owen and Ada. And thank you so much for the flowers. Much appreciated. Good morning to you. Hopefully you had a nice ride with the rest of your assignment. Good morning to you, and good morning to you, Ilya, and good morning to you, Stefan. Santino, good morning to you. How are you doing today? So glad you could join in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, please let us know where you are and who you're joining with. Zayana, good morning to you. How are you doing today? So glad you could join in. Oh, and I love that book too. William, good morning. Please let us know where you're joining us from and who's joining with you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Obsa. How are you today? So glad you could join in. Olive oil, thank you so much. I was just looking at the mirror you did. Amazing, beautiful. Thank you so much. And good morning to you. So glad you could join in. And thanks to you, David and Katie. Thank you so much. Good morning to you. All right, so William, you say you're joining us from Oakland and you're with Shaka. Good morning to you. How are you doing, Shaka? Shaka, are you named after the Zulu warrior from South Africa? I'm curious to know. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, good morning to you, Maria Antonia, joining us from El Sobrante. How are you doing today? And good morning to you, Desmond in Gilroy. How are you doing? Yes, may the 4th be with you. Absolutely. Yeah, happy birthday to you, Gilbert Otieno, my friend. It is your birthday today. May the 4th be with you for sure. Good morning to you, everybody. Yes, we're getting ready for Library Dog. All right. Before we go into that, just a few facts about lions, and some of them you might already know because lions are so popular. And first one is that lions are the only cats that live in groups, and these groups are called prides. The groups can have up to 15 members, so it's usually between 10 and 15 members. Lions can run at full sprint up to a speed of about 50 miles and leap up to 36 feet. That's about 10 meters. And also the 50 miles per hour is about as fast as a car on some parts of the freeway, kids. And then the darker the lion's mane is, the older the lion is. So you can kind of guess which one is the older lion by looking at how dark their mane are. And then also just one quick fact about libraries, and hopefully Ms. Vera can help us with those, but librarians used to have to adopt what is called a library hand. This was used in order to ensure that librarians wrote the same and also that they wrote clearly. Because back in the day, you did not type everything. You just had to write on cards when people were checking out books. So that's a bit about libraries and lions. Good morning to you, everybody. Thank you, Lily. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Good morning to you. All right, so we are getting ready for Library Lion. Good morning. Are you ready? And this one is written by Michelle Knudsen and illustrations by Kevin Hawks. Good morning to you. One day, a lion came to the library. He walked right past the circulation desk and up into the stocks. Mr. McBee ran down the hall to the head librarian's office. "Miss Merriweather," he called. "No running," said Miss Merriweather without looking up. "But there's a lion," said Mr. McBee, "in the library." "Is he breaking any rules?" asked Miss Merriweather. She was very particular about rule breaking. "Well, no," said Mr. McBee. "Not really." "Then leave him be." The lion wandered all around the library. He sniffed the card catalog. He rubbed his head against the new book collection. Then he padded off over to the story corner and went to sleep. No one was sure what to do. There weren't any rules about lions in the library. Soon it was time for story hour. There weren't any rules about lions at story hour either. The story lady seemed a little nervous, but she read out the first book's title in a good, clear voice. The lion looked up. The story lady kept reading. The lion stayed for the next story, and the story after that. He waited for another story, but the children began to walk away. "Story hour is over," a little girl told him. "It's time to go." The lion looked at the children. He looked at the story lady. He looked at the closed books. Then he roared very loudly. "Roar!" Miss Merriweather came striding out of her office. "Who is making that noise?" she demanded. "It's the lion," said Mr. McBee. Miss Merriweather marched over to the lion. "If you cannot be quiet, you will have to leave," she said in a stern voice. "Those are the rules." The lion kept roaring. He sounded sad. The little girl tugged on Miss Merriweather's dress. "If he promises to be quiet, can he come back for story hour tomorrow?" she asked. The lion stopped roaring. He looked at Miss Merriweather. Miss Merriweather looked back. Then she said, "Yes, a nice quiet lion would certainly be allowed to come back for story hour tomorrow." "Hooray!" the children said. The next day, the lion came back. "You're early," said Miss Merriweather. "Story hour is not until 3 o'clock." But the lion did not budge. "Very well," said Miss Merriweather. "You might as well make yourself useful." She sent him off to dust the encyclopedias until it was time for story hour. The next day, the lion came early again. This time, Miss Merriweather asked him to lick all the envelopes for the overdue notices. Soon, the lion began doing things without being asked. He dusted the encyclopedias, he licked the envelopes, he let small children stand on his back to reach books on the highest shelves. Then, he curled up in the story corner to wait for story hour to begin. At first, the people in the library were nervous about the lion, but soon they got used to having him around. In fact, he seemed very well suited for the library. His big feet were quiet for the library floor. He made a comfy backrest for the children at story hour, and he never roared in the library anymore. What a helpful lion, people said. They patted his soft head as he walked by. How did we ever get along without him? Mr. McBee scowled when he heard that. They had always gotten along fine before. No lions were needed. Lions, he thought, could not understand rules. They did not belong in the library. One day, after he had dusted all the encyclopedias and licked all the envelopes and helped all the small children, the lion padded down the hall to Miss Merriweather's office to see what else was there to do. There was still some time left before story hour. "Hello, Lion," said Miss Merriweather. "I know something you can do. You can bring a book back into the stacks for me. Let me just get it down from the shelf." Miss Merriweather stepped up onto the step stool. The book was just out of reach. She stretched out her fingers. "Almost there," she said, "almost there." Then Miss Merriweather stretched a little too far. "Ouch!" said Miss Merriweather softly. She did not get up. "Mr. McBee!" she called after a minute. "Mr. McBee!" But Mr. McBee was at the circulation desk. He could not hear her calling. "Lion," said Miss Merriweather, "please go and get Mr. McBee." The lion ran down the hall. "No running!" Miss Merriweather called after him. He put his big front paws on the circulation desk and looked at Mr. McBee. "Go away, Lion," said Mr. McBee. "I am busy." The lion whined. He pointed his nose down the hall towards Miss Merriweather's office. Mr. McBee ignored him. Finally, the lion did the only thing he could think of to do. He looked Mr. McBee right in the eye. Then he opened his mouth very wide and he roared the loudest roar he had ever roared in his life. Roar! Mr. McBee gasped. "You are not being quiet," he said to the lion. "You are breaking the rules." Mr. McBee walked down the hall as fast as he could. The lion did not follow him. He had broken the rules. He knew what that meant. He hung his head and walked towards the doors. Mr. McBee did not notice. "Miss Merriweather," he called as he walked. "Miss Merriweather, the lion broke the rules. The lion broke the rules." He burst into Miss Merriweather's office. She was not in her chair. "Miss Merriweather?" he asked. "Sometimes," said Miss Merriweather from the floor behind her desk, "there's a good reason to break rules. Even in the library. Now please call a doctor. I think I've broken my arm." Mr. McBee ran to call a doctor. "No running!" Miss Merriweather called after him. The next day, things were back to normal. Well, almost. Miss Merriweather's left arm was in a cast. The doctor had told her not to work too hard. "I will have my lion help me," Miss Merriweather thought. But the lion did not come to the library that morning. At 3 o'clock, Miss Merriweather walked over to the story corner. The story lady was just beginning a story for the children. But the lion was not there. People in the library kept looking up from their books and computer screens, hoping they would see a familiar fairy face. But the lion did not come that day. The lion did not come the next day either, or the day after that. One evening, Mr. McBee stopped by Miss Merriweather's office on his way out. "Can I do anything for you before I go, Miss Merriweather?" he asked her. "No, thank you," said Miss Merriweather. She was looking out the window. Her voice was very quiet, even for the library. Mr. McBee frowned as he walked away. He thought there probably was something he could do for Miss Merriweather after all. Mr. McBee left the library, but he did not go home. He walked around the neighborhood. He looked under cars. He looked behind bushes. He looked in the backyards and trash cans and tree houses. Finally, he circled all the way back to the library. The lion was sitting outside, looking in through the glass doors. "Hello, lion," said Mr. McBee. The lion did not turn around. "I thought you might like to know," said Mr. McBee, "that there's a new rule at the library. No roaring allowed, unless you have a very good reason. Say, if you're trying to help a friend who's been hurt, for example." The lion's ears twitched. He turned around, but Mr. McBee was already walking away. The next day, Mr. McBee walked down the hall to Miss Merriweather's office. "What is it, Mr. McBee?" asked Miss Merriweather in her new, sad, quiet voice. "I thought you might like to know," said Mr. McBee, "that there's a lion in the library." Miss Merriweather jumped up from her chair and ran down the hall. Mr. McBee smiled. "No running," he called after her. Miss Merriweather didn't listen. Sometimes there was a good reason to break the rules, even in the library. The end. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. And kids, I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. And yes, that was The Library Lion by Michelle Knudsen and Kevin Hawks. A must-have for your collection. Thank you so much for joining in. Now, let's just check who else has joined us this morning before we go on further. Good morning. Yes. May 4th. All right. Good morning. Who else do we have? Thank you, Raven and Maya. Yes, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Good morning, and good morning to you, Judah, DJ, and Blaze. Good morning to you. How are you today? And good morning to you, Lacey. Good morning to you. Yes, good morning, everybody that has joined us. Good morning. Good morning, and good morning to you, Lynette Marie. Thank you so much. I appreciate your message. Thank you so much. Good morning. Yes. Ellen in Chicago, how are you doing today? Yes, I love that story. That is a cute story indeed. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Lily, and good morning to you, Ishmaila. How are you doing today? And let us know who's joining with you. Vundukai, Julia, and Noctula, how are you doing today? All the way up in Baltimore. Good morning to you. Yes, and good morning to you, Ali Mae, right here in Oakland. How are you doing? Thank you. So glad you could join in. If you missed the beginning of the story, please be sure to catch it on our Storytime pages right here on Facebook. You can also catch us on our YouTube channel and also Instagram. Good morning to you, and if you want more story time, please do not miss out and join us tomorrow when we will read another exciting story. And tomorrow will be Night of the Veggie Monster by George McClemens. Another favorite of mine. I hope you can join us for that one. Javon Wright, good morning to you. Thank you so much. Happy Monday to you as well. So glad you could join in. To everybody that is joining in, thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful day, and most of all, have a wonderful week. And I will see you again right here tomorrow for another story. From me, it is much love, and I will see you in the morning. Bye-bye.